Greetings, class, and welcome to week 5 of the Doctrine of Holiness. Well, we begin a new textbook this week. We're looking at the Fig Tree Revolution. It fits in sequence with the previous texts that we've looked at and play a significant piece in our instruction time and discussion time as we move through understanding what biblical holiness is, like Greathouse taught us, to understanding that living a holy life, or the call to holiness, is to act justly in the world today as an individual, to act justly or just as God wanted us to be in the beginning. And it means to correct the things in His world that are out of sync with what He originally intended for His creation to be. So Derek Flood helped us understand that holiness is being agents of justice and setting that right. And you've explored what it means to be just in the biblical sense. And so as we hone in now on this 5th week through our reading with Medford, we begin to really look at some practical things. What does that mean? You'll be, over the next 2 weeks, looking at earth care. What does it mean to be an agent of justice where earth care is considered? What does it mean to be an agent of justice when the neighbor next door or the person that you work with is diametrically opposed to a value that you have? How do you, as an agent of justice, minister to them in 100% truth and with 100% grace? What's that look like in everyday life? Wow. We live in a very diverse world today, and there are people who hold different positions. And some of us would probably say that some of the positions that people hold today would not be biblical. But yet the command is there by the Lord Jesus Christ, that great commandment to love them, to care for them, to serve them. So how do we do that? With 100% truth, not compromising our values, but at the same time demonstrating 100% grace. Boy, those are tough questions, and I hope that together we can come up with some solutions. Practically speaking, over the next 2 weeks, we'll be asking, what does living a holy life look like in a postmodern world? What does relationship and ministry entail to those either directly opposed to positions that we hold, or people whom society today deem as being unfairly treated or marginalized? How do we engage that? How do we lead culture at such a time as this? Medford will introduce us to the writings of the book of Esther. We'll be studying Esther chapters 1 through 4 and uncovering various aspects that pertain to what real transformation is and what real justice work is in a progressive culture. In our time with God this week, you'll be asked the question, which of the main characters in Esther you best connect with? I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about that. That'll be a fun assignment for you. Now, I must also tell you that not everything that Bill Medford ascribes to in his book, or maybe infers to as acceptable behavior in society today, aligns with my personal belief system or that of Berkeley College. And that may be in direct reference to his comments on human sexuality and marriage. Berkeley College holds the same statement of faith as the Evangelical Friends Church International, and when we think of human sexuality and marriage, it is between a biologically born male or man and a biologically born female woman, and that is what should constitute marriage in terms of our biblical understanding of that. But we know that there's a position today in culture, even in some churches, that would hold to a different position. So as Medford presents that as one of the challenges in society today, and what the church needs to be wrestling with, and we as individuals need to be wrestling with. Don't think that because I've chosen to use this book as a text that I am condoning that lifestyle, but rather it's there as a challenge to us to think through some of these tough questions that we have in ministry and life today, particularly when it comes to human sexuality and marriage. The command of Jesus Christ is to engage others with all truth and all grace. What does that look like for those of us as individuals in terms of our ministry? What does that look like for those of us who are church leaders? What does that look like in terms of how we train people in our church, how we engage visitors who come to the church? How do we minister to them and bring them to a point of conviction or decision to either embrace the ways of Jesus in terms of how we understand it, or to bless and release them? What does that look like, perhaps? We live in a world that presents many challenges for Christians and ministry today. And hopefully over the next 2 weeks we'll come away with some helpful ideas, a guide perhaps, for how best to address these things. I'm looking forward to reading your work this week, not only what we just shared about Esther and how you'll be contributing to that, but you also have in your reading assignment the 5 calls of God, a teaching that comes out of the book Holiness Manifesto. And it reminds us that holiness begins on the inside and works its way out. How does that inform your life of holiness? That'll be one of your assignments. And the other one is to critique Medford. You'll put together a chart of your critique of the things that maybe you agree with in terms of what he says, the assumptions that he makes, and the things you disagree with and why. And that ought to be very insightful for each of us as we read that one with the other. Please continue to pray for one another. I look forward to our time together in class this week. God bless you.